Hey, what's up YouTube? Houston here. For those of you just finding my YouTube channel, welcome. Please remember to hit that subscribe button and that bell. For those of you that's been following me and supporting me, salute. And for my favorite patrons, always double salute. Now, today's video, we're actually going to be talking about the best business loans for LLCs, DBAs, S corporations, C corporations with no credit check. And here's the thing about it. These here type of loan, you have to understand that they're different than the traditional loans coming from the bank or SBA loan because they charge a higher interest. However, they're not focused on your credit, okay? They're not focused on your credit, nor are they focused on if you have a DUNS number, any net 30s or PAYDEX score. These are the type of business loans. None of that matters. Credit doesn't matter. DUNS number don't matter. Net 30s don't matter. PAYDEX score don't matter. Okay? These are things that do not matter to these companies. They're looking at the functionality of the business. How is the business doing? And that's the reason I tell you. So people are like, well, what about I'm working a business out of my home? It doesn't matter. So you can have a home address for your business and you're still able to get funding if you meet their requirements, all right? That being said, one of the things that I would tell you guys, and if nothing else you learn from me, I'm telling you this for your own benefit so that you can transition over to the major banks to get more funding, all right? You want to make sure that if you have your company signed up with a different lending institution, you want to add one of these financial institutions as well. Another thing you want to make sure that you're doing is making weekly deposits into these financial institutions. This is what builds up your business bank rating and helps get you to your path of business funding through the major lenders. This is why a lot of people can't get funding from the major lenders because they open up the bank account, but they never put any money in it. It goes from the bank. It goes from them making a transaction to their pockets. Okay? I'll tell you another thing that would stop you from funding if you're always claiming a loss on your taxes as well. So when you filing your taxes and everything, if you're claiming a loss on your taxes, that can stop you from getting funding also. All right? So those are some major things that you need to really consider if you're trying to go for funding. That being said, regardless of the situation, these are lenders that's willing to work with people if they have revenue coming into the business. It has nothing to do with your personal credit, has nothing to do with a Dun & Bradstreet, a DUNS number, a PAYDEX score, none of that. All they're focused on is the business, okay? And if you have revenue coming into the business, they're willing to work with you. Now, in reference to, I made a video about NEARSIDE and explaining some of the history of NEARSIDE so you can understand. But with them, if you open a bank account with them and you have 3 months of business activity, they offer loans up to $10,000 after 90 days, okay? And again, here's a lender that's not focused. They're not focused on your credit. It's all about what the revenue is in the business. Now, another one is PayPal. Now, I just made a video explaining the difference between PayPal Working Capital and PayPal Business Loan. Loan Builder. Now, here's the thing about it you have to understand. You don't have to have a relationship with PayPal. You don't have to have a relationship with PayPal in order to get funding from them. That's their loan builder program. I'll put a link to the video below so you can actually check out that. But with PayPal, in terms of, again, what's the revenue like? Now, in terms of the loan builder, many a times, the loan builder, many a times, they may want you to have at least a 620 credit score. However, if you don't have that 620 credit score, my thing is this. I would probably get an account with PayPal, and I'm going to tell you why, and so that you can actually leverage. If you are doing business, generating revenue in your business, I would have some of that revenue going through a PayPal account. The reason is, again, because you're able to get their working capital with no credit check. Now, like I said, they have two different types of loans for the business. They have the working capital loan as well as the PayPal loan builder. But that's what I would do. I would actually have a relationship with them. So that way, if I have money coming into my bank account, plus I have money coming into PayPal, I'm able to borrow capital from multiple resources. So that's the reason I would tell you to make sure that you have a PayPal business account, okay? That being said, you have another company out there. They're a merchant cash advance called UPLYFT Capital. Okay, so their loans go from $10,000 up to $500,000, 500 credit score. So again, it really don't matter about the credit score, because if you have a 500 credit score, then they just looking at totally the business. So your monthly revenue, average monthly revenue, should be about $10,000. Okay, and it's their merchant cash advance. One of the things about it, I know a lot of people hate about it with merchant cash advance, because they start taking money back out on a daily or on a weekly, and it puts a strain on your business as well. Okay, so I understand that, but like I said, if you're looking for funding and you don't want to deal with a DUNS number, PAYDEX score, net 30s, or you're trying to avoid really looking at your credit or whatever, then you have UPLYFT Capital as well, okay? Now, UPLYFT Capital does say that they usually can get about 90% of applicants approved. That's what they state. Now, you have another lender that you don't have to have as much capital for, and that's Reliant Funding, small business, Reliant Funding, okay? And so their loans go from $5,000 up to $400,000, merchant cash advance type of lender, 525 credit score. So you know that if you're in the 500s, you're in the bottom anyway, right? So at least 6 months in business. Minimum you need to be making is about $5,000 a month, okay? Now, here's another thing, Rapid Finance. Rapid Finance is very interesting because they're like 3 months in business, but 500 credit score. Their loans go from 500 up to 5 million. Monthly revenue is at least $5,000 a month, okay? So Rapid Finance. You have MCKENZIE Capital. Again, not focusing on the credit, no hard pull on the credit. It's all about the business. Be in business at least 3 months. At least $5,000 a month in revenue. You have to have an active business bank account, and there's no personal guarantee as well. Then you have Headway Capital. Their loans go from $5,000 up to $100,000, 550 credit score, 12 months. You should have revenue at least $4,200. So again, like I said, when you're in the 500s, it's not about the credit. They're all about what's your situation with the business. Is the business generating revenue? And so, like I said, they're looking for you to be bringing in at least $4,200. So that's less than $5,000, but they expect for you to be in business at least a year. Okay? Now, one of the things about it with UPLYFT, right? So they want you to have at least, most of these companies, if you have at least 3 months of bank statements of $5,000 or more, they're willing to work with you. And again, they're, in terms of how much they're willing to give you, it just depends. It just depends in reference to once they actually see different deposits coming in. Now, a lot of you all are familiar with Capital One Tap, and I made a video about them. Again, they, the Capital One Tap, they're very finicky, okay? But if you have at least 30,000 in revenue, the company less than a year old, they're willing to give you funding. Now, the reason I say they're very finicky, because they'll look at your bank account and see that there's revenue there. But once they give you the account and the funding and stuff, they may ask you for bank statements and invoices. So if you're not able to provide those bank statements and invoices, then that's where you may create a challenge. That's the reason I tell you to make sure you have a relationship with PayPal. Because with PayPal, they're already looking at these transactions and stuff of what's going on. So in terms of them saying, hey, coming back and saying, hey, we looked at, no. PayPal ain't going to play that game with you. They look at what's going on. If you're doing 42,000 plus annually or whatever within 9 months, then they're willing to work with you to give you funding. So I think PayPal would probably be the most flexible if you're trying to get funding with no credit check. All right. Out of all of these, like I said, they're not bad, but the interest rate is just high. Okay. So one of the things about it, like I've had clients that had multiple merchant cash advances and stuff like that, and it was just draining them. But one of the things about it, I can, if you actually just really need the money, in terms of that type of money, if you're trying to expand the business or whatever, or increase the marketing, and that's another thing for you guys that are trying to raise capital, when you're going to the bank, okay, here's the thing about it with the banks. The reason that with loans, sometimes it can take longer. I always tell you to start with a credit card or business line of credit. Now, in terms of how much capital you need, it just depends on how active your business is. But for the most part, a lot of people, they would try to go get a loan from the banks. The banks have too much red tape. It's better to always ask for an increase on your business credit card if you have a business credit card with them, or to ask for a line of credit. Okay, so that would be your best option. Now you have a DIVVY. DIVVY gives you a line of credit. Now if you have bad credit, you may not get approved for the line of credit right off back, but they do have a credit builder. And the reason that I'm throwing DIVVY out there is because they actually report to the Small Business Financial Exchange. And that information is picked up with Dun & Bradstreet. So that actually builds up your business credit file. Now, in reference to those banks I was telling you about as well, making those weekly deposits, that's going to help your business bank rating. So you're building a strong relationship and you're building up your business credit file. All right? Now, if you have any questions about business credit, personal credit, business credit funding, personal credit funding, click the link in the description and schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.